welcome to the cash grab reboot of Bloodhound Pix without the cash. As always, I am one of your hosts, Craig.
I'm Kyle.
And I'm Josh.
And yeah, we've taken a little bit of time away. We've worked on a bunch of projects, and we decided to come back and start this up again, but do it our own way and have fun with it. Because I think, I don't know how far we want to talk about it, but it gets especially depressing during the pandemic and having to do whatever we had to do before. This is us doing it for fun instead of
for profit.
Yeah. Non-existent profit.
The hell with that profit.
We're done catering to big pharma.
Yeah. So this episode is kind of, we're going to do a catch up quickly and then talk about the film House Red that we all viewed, and we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, Kyle, what have you been up to, and any projects, anything? And that's one of the things too, is that we will be kind of talking about some of the process of what it's like to do indie work more so than before, where we get to, instead of specifically interviewing others, we get to talk about our own projects, because I know there's some on the horizon and things like that. So you get to see a firsthand, hopefully, process of step by step of it, which I think will be a lot of fun.
Besides working on another fucking script for the millionth time to try and do something for no money, which is the main thing. I guess that's the main thing we're going to try to document along with whatever else we do. Trying to make a no-budget movie that doesn't suck. And currently I'm kind of at the point where I'm rewriting it, and then I'm just like, I think this is going to be boring. I think that's every time you get to a certain point, you're like, I don't know. Is it worth the effort? I don't know. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, I feel like that's and I'm glad you bring it up, because that is something that isn't talked about. And I know we've mentioned it before in older episodes. So for those of you listening, go back and listen to our older stuff too. But this idea of, you have so many people, especially that are already well established, they're just like, well, just make it and put it out there. Like, okay, well,
I mean,
there's a little, you should do it, but then there's kind of all these little nuance elements that I think will be nice that we're going to get into, especially like talking about the screenwriting portion of it. And yeah.
Well, I don't think you should not do that. I just think, well, it just becomes so much different. Like, that's why being in the grad school program was so refreshing, because you're not trying to you're not thinking about actually doing it, so you can imagine and write whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
But then when you're thinking like, well, how am I going to do that? Okay, no. Can't be, a mansion. It's got to be just a bedroom.
Yeah.
Well, it can't even be a nice bedroom. It's got to be a shitty bedroom. I have a shitty bedroom. You know what I mean? And you just keep like shrinking stuff, and then I don't know.
It's got to be my bedroom.
I think it's really probably a very unique skill to be able to take whatever limited resources you have and use that to tell an interesting enough story that it's not totally going to be boring. That it's not going to look like House Red, who had some kind of budget and resources, but you're still just like, man, this really looks fucking boring.
Which we'll get into in
Which we're going to get
to. Josh, what have you been up to? And I know,
I've been up to just a lot of writing. It's been, I don't know even how, it's been 2 fucking years since the last time we did this. I don't know, it seems like forever, but just working on scripts. I worked with a Hollywood guy who is pretty connected, to help out with something. I've been wanting forever to do a space set horror script,
Mhm.
but I've never done it. And then I finally had an idea that I thought was killer. Did it, loved it, sent it to this dude, paid this dude a lot of money, worked with him for 4 months on it.
Okay.
And it was a really good experience. Not going to say it wasn't. He was very helpful. Knows the genre too, so that was, you can tell. I think you'd easily be able to tell somebody like, yeah, I don't really like horror stuff, but that wasn't the case at all. So he helped me out a lot with it, and it's in a really good spot now. Actually just sent it to Austin the other day. And then I also worked with him on a different script that I had written years ago. And actually I'm still working on that. But it's about 50% different than it was. All based on stuff that he and I kind of, went over, and he basically was like, this is good, but you got a lot of shit in here. Here's what I would do to change it. Wow, that's fucking amazing, guy. So I'm still working on that, but it's just a lot of rewriting, which.
Yeah. Well, I know. So that's one of the things that I think is forgotten and maybe not discussed as much, but because there is that element of like, well, writing is rewriting, or however they describe it, but
and that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing that I got from working with this dude is how important that is. And I feel like in 4 months, I feel like I became a much better reader than I was. And it was astounding to me how, especially reading your own shit, because it's like, I wrote this. I mean, of course it's good. Of course it makes sense. No, motherfucker, usually it doesn't. So that was one of the more that was one of the better things I took away, was being able to be a better reader and understand you could do something that's, I don't know, a lot better. I mean, that's just a real general way of saying it, but so.
Oh, that's great. And I know, so with this, I guess for people potentially listening, was this like a mentorship element of where he worked with you in that way, or was it like a script doctoring kind of thing of, so did you do all the writing, or did he?
Yeah, I did all the writing. It was so what basically the way it was is you'd give him, I gave him the first draft of this space set thing, and he read it, cover to cover. He'd have a phone conversation every 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
And those calls would be hours of, he basically would go through every goddamn page on the phone with you. Not every page, but essentially.
Yeah.
So it was real in depth. And I mean, it was it was extremely helpful. It was one of those things too, that it was just like a shot in the dark. But sometimes you got to do that.
Yeah.
Where did you find this guy? Craigslist?
Yeah. He actually had this real psycho perv add-on on Craigslist, and I was just like, man, this guy. And it was just at the very end, it was plus I do script consulting.
Yeah, you were like, I just want drugs.
Yeah, I was like, man, okay, well, I can get all this weird shit, drugs, script, and fuck.
Yeah.
I actually found him on Twitter. He was somebody that I had been following. I don't even remember how I started following the guy. I feel like it might have been through Austin, so it'd been fucking years. Yeah. And just seeing his tweets and knowing that this guy obviously knows what the fuck's up, he knows people, he's connected, et cetera, et cetera. And the rate was reasonable. It was expensive, but it was reasonable for 4 months worth of work. So,
yeah.
All right. I could say that it was better than some other things, but I'll not.
Oh, come on. This is the uncensored.
It was better. It was better than more expensive things.
Yeah. Well,
Remember-
considering what we were paying, there were a lot of instructors that were, of not a very high caliber, not very engaged.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or not even the instructors, but the
Well, yeah.
The peers.
Yeah. The coffee wasn't good either.
God damn, it sucked.
and they didn't have ice.
Oh my god. Yeah, those motherfuckers.
Oh yeah, there's a strict no ice policy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So something, whatever. We're already saying it. This is the uncensored version. We'll put a little
Who
parentheses. The school itself, there is a strict policy that it is vegetarian. No meat can be on campus, and then also as part of it, they do not believe in things being frozen, and so there were refrigerators, but there was no ice or meat or anything of that nature.
Yeah.
And so that was.
But the ice is like a Vedic thing, right? Because that's like that medicine shit they were teaching us, and they're like, you gotta drink hot water for your chi. Yeah. And we were all like, yeah, no. I'm not that committed.
Yeah. I tried it for not hot water, but I tried, I'll drink this warm water. And then summer came along, and I do not do well in humidity in July. That's not happening. There's just a different feeling of drinking a nice cold.
Warm water is just, even during winter.
Yeah.
Coffee, put something in it, but just straight up water. It's kind of gross.
Yeah. But as part of that too, you also, there's different ways you need to sleep, which I forgot all of those ways. I'm sure there's notes that I.
Well.
Oh, it had to do with the way you position yourself, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Some fucking weirdo shit where it's like, I'm gonna fucking just go to sleep.
Their doors were you could only have your house door facing the east.
And your bed, the head of your bed, I think, is supposed to be facing east too, or something. I don't fucking know. Once I got to the interior decorating portion, I was like, I want to make a movie? What the fuck are we talking about?
Yeah.
No movies until your bed is facing the right way.
Yeah.
No popcorn.
Yeah.
Ever.
I quit. I'm leaving. Yeah. Fuck this.
But we got to meet each other, so there we go. I have my second child, and then I've worked on a couple comedy things to kind of switch it up, and I've been going back and forth now, which has been more beneficial. I think before it was strictly one thing, and then I found myself getting burnt out, but even one thing in terms of what I would watch too. So it's been nice to kind of I'll do what I'm feeling at the moment instead of focusing strictly on one genre in terms of what I write, what I watch, we talk about, So that's been fun. And then I was working on, I think it's almost done, a little research thing about comedy and offensiveness. And I talk about horror as well in that, and that became a bigger thing than I anticipated, because right when I started it was Joe Rogan, then Dave Chappelle, then Chris Rock. Every other week there's some incident. I went, oh man, this is becoming. I had to finally stop and say, okay, I'm no longer researching anything from at this point, and I'll just have to say, this can be expanded on by somebody else in the future. but I cannot cover all of it. But it's been fun in that sense. Yeah, so let's get into House Red.
Yeah.
Let's.
I'll be honest with you with this one. It's one of those that we just watched it this year.
You could rub your face longer,
Yeah.
and that would pretty much say everything.
Yeah. So there's a we'll edit it in a way that just shows you
It's
rub my
just-
face.
You're just talking like this the whole time.
Yeah. So we just received it this year, or I can't remember, or the very tail end of last year. But I think it's one. I'm not sure of the exact date it came out.
I think it was 19.
Mm.
That's what. Yeah, it was like.
Yeah, I think it was 19.
It's
they
one of
just-
those award circuit darlings
Yeah.
that you see.
So it was made then, but then they probably put out awards. When the pandemic hit, then they. Yeah.
And then they were holding out for a deal from Tubi.
Yeah.
Hey, man, those fucking Tubi deals.
Yeah. That's a company that I thought to pitch to at one point. Where I was like, oh,
Do they
Everybody's doing their-
do they make their own stuff?
They are now.
Yeah,
We
they're
should
about
pitch
to.
to them.
yeah.
Yeah.
But there
They-
was
They,
trying
they
to
did like they did like the Terror Train remake.
Oh shit! Really? Wow.
Yeah, and then they did a sequel to it, and that was
Oh,
all
shit.
their shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
they have a lot of good stuff on Tubi.
Yeah.
That's the greatest streaming service there is.
It kind of is because it's fucking free.
Well, that definitely helps, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I know Roku. They just did. It was actually funny. I would recommend it. The Weird Al. Biopic.
Oh yeah. It was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, it was. If you liked Dewey Cox like that, where it's not Weird Al's story at all, but they make it that. He apparently
Right.
the whole thing was that he gave them two elements of his life that were actually real, and then everything else they just took
Made
liberties
up?
with.
I mean, that's a better way to go. Who
Yeah.
cares? You know. I mean, that's the thing with those biop. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
yeah.
Same with how I felt with the Elvis one. I don't know, and because they're always glamorizing it too. It's like, if
Well,
you're
and
gonna
you
do
have
it-
to
make it
make a story out of somebody's life because somebody's life isn't a story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, you got to like take pieces and go, okay, this structure now is a story
Yeah.
where you have a high point and a low point, and you know, your mom dies and you write your best song and blah blah blah.
But what I don't get with like Elvis or some of the other ones. What was it, the Bohemian Rhapsody? Is you have these kind of dark points of their life in some way or another, things that Elvis did, but then nobody wants to touch on that, and that seems like the most interesting.
yeah, that's the most
part.
interesting shit.
Yeah.
Bloated,
Yeah.
drugged out, making a fucking. Have you ever had the fool's gold? It's
Yeah.
like you get a whole like sub roll and make a PB and J, and then put a bunch of fucking like a pound of bacon in there.
Yeah.
It's really good, but you can feel yourself dying as you're
Yeah.
eating it.
Does sound delicious. though.
Right? It's good. It's just like holy shit. No wonder he died.
Yes.
You're doing this shit on the regular and cocaine,
Yeah.
and you're wearing a white jumpsuit. Pushed it too far.
People could only be so lucky if they went out that way.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, so we're willing to get off topic too more for this one because this is the uncut version that we
Yeah.
wanted to do. So House Red.
Yeah.
Before that, so if Tubi or Roku are listening, we would happily
Oh yeah.
make stuff for you.
Tubi, I'll do it for
any
free.
day. Any
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
House Red is the story about a couple that are British. Yes, a British couple. They end up in Italy, which they are kind of trying to save their relationship, even though at points it doesn't feel. At points it feels like the relationship is perfectly fine, and then there's random
Yeah.
sections where then it's not fine at all, and which can happen obviously in a relationship, but it feels tonally weird.
Yeah, the writing isn't good.
Yeah.
That's what he meant to say.
So they're doing a wine tour kind of thing, which I guess they're wine connoisseurs, but not really. And they drink some of this wine after the guy finds out that the woman, her parents have connections to Italy, and he doesn't want to disclose this location. Apparently, it's the best wine ever.
Yeah, they're like, oh man, I just need some more of that wine, man. Where can I get that wine?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, to the point that they're like, we know where the vineyard is. We'll go pick the fucking grapes for the wine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they immediately get withdrawal.
Yeah. That's how good the wine is.
This is where the movie already was going to lose me. Like, it kind of never had... It never really had me, but when they show up to the mansion of the people that own the vineyard, because I guess they just live at the vineyard.
Yeah.
They show up there, like, well-dressed, and they're like, yeah, we want to, like, go pick your crops. And they're like, yeah, sure, you can stay here and swim in the pool. And it's like, these aren't the people that work in a fucking vineyard. You're on vacation. Like, what?
So, yeah, the idea is that they only give the wine out to people that work in the... If you work in the vineyard...
You get some for, like, payment, right?
Yeah, you get a case or something as payment.
But, I mean, I probably missed the part where they explain what they do with the wine then, because, like, the whole point of making wine, the only way you're going to make money off of wine is to sell the wine. So this whole, like, mystery of, like, where do I get this wine is like, well, what the fuck are you doing with it then?
Yeah. So I think so it's not really explained, but the idea is that they send it to elite people, whatever it may be. But like regular, but regular people can get it if they work in the. I don't know.
So that's what happened to Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
OD'd on that wine,
Yeah. But I will say, best part of the movie is the opening, which feels like James Bond opening.
Well, first you have the wannabe like hook scare, which is just like a guy you can't even see running through the vineyard screaming, and then we hear a noise like assuming he's been killed by something we don't know. That's supposed to be scary, yeah. And then you have a fucking James Bond montage of like a car driving and a giant wine glass being poured, and a weird song. You're like.
Oh god, the fucking music! The music in that movie was so bad.
I almost gave up right at the title sequence.
Dude,
I
did
too. What the fuck?
I did too. I'm like, oh my god, this is the worst fucking song I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah. Well, and I guess, I mean, that leads me to the point of like, at least from what I saw, there was like never any fucking. There weren't even like bad jump scares.
No.
Like, the closest thing you had was, like, the dude... There's a stoner guy that's one of the vineyard random people working at the vineyard. Just cruising around Europe or whatever. And he, like, sneaks up on them when they're in the pool during middle of the day.
Yeah.
But he's not even... He doesn't really sneak up. He just kind of walks up. And then they act like it's, like, shocking. And it's like... What? You're swimming in a... It's like broad daylight. What the fuck? Yeah. He can't sneak up on you. He walked...
It's literally impossible for him to sneak up on you.
And also, that's not scary. Well, that's like... Even just watching that, you're like, why didn't you just set that at night?
Yeah.
Then you could have made that into a false scare, and it still wouldn't have been scary or satisfying because it's still a fake out. But, like...
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, the issue with that... A lot of that scene, too, is that... So, the whole thing, he comes up on them while they're...
well, they're just like
frisky with each other,
like
or whatever. But then they're upset with
him
in this way.
It's like you're in public.
Yeah,
you're doing this in broad daylight in public. It's not like anybody in this area can walk around, and then you're like, "Whoa, what are you even doing?"
Or
here?
Even if they were in the pool, like in the middle of the night or something, it's like, okay, well, you didn't expect someone to show up at midnight or whatever, but yeah.
So then the movie goes, I don't know. So I feel like there was this thing of they wanted to make a slow burn. I know, Josh, before we start recording, you said it in a way of like somebody watched Get Out and then wanted to use that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like they wanted to make a slow burn, but then wanted to make a horror movie, but then maybe didn't even want to make it a horror movie at first. It feels
Well, it felt like
all.
it felt to me like they were constantly like lying to you. Like even that beginning, right? The very beginning of the random black guy running around, obviously being chased by something.
Yeah.
Did it not seem like it was something supernatural?
Yeah.
I mean, I know.
Well,
we
never saw
see anything. But the way that it was done, it was like, so it's a fucking ghost, it's a vampire, you know, what the fuck ever. It's something supernatural.
Yeah, the camera movement feels.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I felt like they kept doing that. Like, oh, now we're gonna show you that it's, you know, a ghost or a vampire or what the fuck ever.
Yeah.
But obviously, then none of that was, you know, in the story. So it was always like trying to fake you out and lie and make it seem like it was something that it wasn't. So I don't know if that's like good or bad, but it didn't really work either way.
I mean, I feel like it's kind of like they couldn't decide what they wanted it to be.
Yeah.
That's what most of the movie felt like. But they weren't, and they were definitely not committing to making it scary in any way. Like, they didn't even try to make it scary.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like, I don't know.
Well, and then, in that sense too. So there is a difference between like a fake out in a good way versus like the lying, as Josh was saying, where you still, if whatever, an M. Night Shyamalan movie when he was at his peak, it's like, oh, the twist, okay, that got us, but then also, oh, if you go back, you can kind of see he added. There's like elements of that gives us information, like foreshadowing information that says that this twist is going to happen. It's just kind of
Well, you didn't care in the first place. Yeah. But you also gotta, like, to do one of those twists, you have to set it up. Well, you gotta set it up so the audience is thinking like, oh, duh, it's a vampire. It's a vampire.
Yeah.
Like, just tell me it's a vampire. And then you have a twist that's like, it seemed like it was one thing, but it wasn't. They're faking you out. They're leading you one way and then spinning you.
Yeah.
And I felt like, speaking of vampires specifically, I felt like they completely fucking dropped the ball with that, because it's like, to me, that was like the most obvious thing, right?
Yeah, that's what it should be.
They're using blood to fucking make wine, like a vampire would do.
Yeah,
but it's like that there's like you basically painted yourself into a corner with that, and you didn't even bother to even try to feed that to us.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
But that is our version of the movie. So if anybody wants to watch our version,
no. Our version of the movie is like, if you drink this wine, it's almost like, when vampires, like, someone gets turned into a vampire, but they still have to like bite another vampire to like fully turn. So they're in that weird position. Our version of that is Craig is just at like a restaurant and he orders the house red, and it's accidentally one of those bottles of wine, and you get all fucked up, and then you got to figure out what's going on before you fully turn into a vampire.
There we go.
And then it ties into the then you say the words of the title. That's like the opening, like, oh yeah, I'll have the house red, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's the greatest fucking pitch for that film I've ever heard. I mean,
there you go.
For any film, actually.
You even look at the camera though when you say the title.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
You say, I'll have the house red.
And we just like, you just look at the camera for like a full 30 seconds.
Yeah.
One thing too that I think stuck with me maybe more than anything else about the movie was like, every character was horned up beyond belief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, I guess, okay. But it just got to the point where it was like, this is just getting ridiculous.
It feels like such a lazy trope.
Yeah.
Like every character.
Because that's like what someone who doesn't watch horror movies thinks every horror movie is that. You know what I mean? Where they're like...
Gotta have everybody horned up constantly.
Because they're just basing it off of like one of the Friday the 13th sequels or something where like everyone's teenagers and they're having sex or whatever. Yeah. And it's just like, well, these are all like middle-aged people. Yeah, the way Natasha Hendricks is coming on to the main guy, who's just like an average-looking dude, It's like, why is everyone trying to fuck this dude?
Yeah.
He seems like a fucking douchebag.
That may be true, but that was the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
It was, but it's just like awkward.
It was.
It comes out of nowhere. There's no like subtext to it. She's like, she's just fucking lingering all over him.
Horned up.
Yeah.
Well, and she's even. There's no subtlety in her. Like, flirting with him in front of the girlfriend, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't even see that." Like, she's rubbing your chest.
Well, that's the thing too. Is like, there's no. In real life, it would be more like, well, not in real life. In better writing, it would be like more subtextual, where you could read it two ways. You know, where it could look like flirting, but she's not saying anything weird, and like that adds to the psychological aspect of the woman, where it's like, is she just kind of losing her shit, being jealous, or was there really something going on?
Yeah. Well, and obviously we've already done a lot of spoilers for those of you that intend on watching the movie,
which is no one.
Yeah. So what you also find out too is that he cheated on the girlfriend with her best friend. And that he said he broke it off. They went on this whole vacation. But then he's still texting the girlfriend's friend, and saying, well, this trip is him breaking it off with her.
Right.
But then
it's like, Jesus, man, that's a lot of fucking work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fucking work. I can't suspend my disbelief for that at all.
Yeah.
No, it's also like not really dramatic enough
to
be the core drama of this movie. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's kind of just boring and generic. It's like, give me something a little bit more. Because she also, like, she said something. Didn't she say something where, like, her father died recently or something? Or am I just imagining that? Because I feel like she said that at some point, but it's like never really brought up ever again. And it's like, I feel like that's way more important than your shitty boyfriend. Like,
I think she said both of her parents had passed away.
Yeah.
Which obviously they hadn't. But I think she says both of them.
Right. And it's like, well, she doesn't even need to be here with her dumb boyfriend then.
Yeah. She could just taken a...
Yeah, she could just be taking a trip and fucking decide to hang out at this vineyard for fun or whatever.
Then she could get out.
Yeah, or find out that one of her Italian, whichever side of her family was Italian, had something to do with this vineyard, and she's going to this vineyard just as like, well, I don't know, trying to connect to my roots. I don't know what the fuck's going on, and then get caught up in this thing.
You could even start with it's like, oh, I just broke up with my boyfriend, whatever.
Yeah,
and doing this thing, like you said.
It would be some. Yeah, I mean, it's
trying
already
to connect with my roots.
It's already more interesting as a character. Yeah. So we're going to remake this movie.
Yeah. And we're going to call it House Red, but then it's going to spell out dead. The way I don't know. It's gonna be House Dead.
And since we don't have access to a vineyard, we're going to have to use your apartment, Kyle.
Yeah.
My apartment's big enough that we could set up some like stalks of I don't know what a vineyard is. Vines? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean there's just like some plant stuff. So we just set on the floor.
Yeah.
We can go to the store, get some grapes.
Yeah.
We just need like one little bag of grapes.
Yeah.
Yeah. This already sounds better.
Yeah. It does. Fuck, let's throw some vampires in there.
Yeah, dude.
We could switch back and forth between us and then have the like the miniature models. Like,
dude. All I want to do is use miniature models. I think they're fucking awesome.
Yeah.
When done right.
Yeah.
But still. We need more models. Less CGI.
Yeah.
We could probably afford Natasha Hentridge. At least whatever she made for this movie.
I think so.
Can we get that House Red deal? Like, we pay you like $3,000 for like a day or something? I don't know.
That's probably what it was.
I mean, it had to. Well, it's probably more than that, but
yeah, because she had
to have been the whole budget.
Yeah, but she wasn't in it that much, right? I mean, they probably like shot all her shit in like a couple days or something.
Yeah. Well, and that was probably part of it. It's like, oh, we'll even pay for you to be in Italy for a bit. So
Yep.
Oh,
get
well,
free
that's a
trip
good-
out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they were. You think they were really
Yeah.
in Italy? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
so.
it
Yeah.
looks like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was filmed the early.
Yeah,
season.
because the production company was Italian.
Yeah. What a waste. So you feel like I just... Oh, man. I hate it when... Like, I just don't understand how that happens. Like, you went all the way to Italy and the movie looks like a fucking Hallmark movie. It looks just so... Like, nothing is interesting. Even on a visual level, you're just like, I could just fucking have a narcoleptic fit watching this movie. He can't even keep me alive. And they probably spent so much money to go to Italy.
Yeah.
So, we're going to give this 2 thumbs up. Get out there and see it.
I mean, I told my wife, I was like, I gave it 2 skulls out of 5 for that runtime alone. 77 minutes.
Yep.
All right.
I mean,
I'll give it 1 skull for that.
All right. I mean, you know, you got 2 skulls for Natasha Henstridge's backside in 77 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, it was better than Clownado. So.
Well, yeah, you've got me there.
And group.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I mean, I feel like it's kind of on par with Clownado, but then you imagine that fucking Joker wannabe in Clownado.
Oh,
like, that dude was no Natasha Henstridge.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
You know, the director of Clownado is just like, hey. You know the Joker? You know the character of the Joker? Just that's exactly what I want you to do.
Just do that.
And
but really bad.
Yeah, but also, like, make sure you overdose on drugs after this.
Yeah.
Just like Heath Ledger, please, because...
And Clownado, for those of you listening, is the only review that we've ever given where what the director responded back.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Did he really?
To Ginger. So.
Oh no! Was he mad?
Our good friend Jim with Ginger Nuts of
What? I have never heard this story.
He posted our review on Twitter, and then the guy was like, "Well, you know, people worked really hard on this, and the fans like it," and then he like gave this whole thing.
I would have just said fans ?
Fucking shitting me?
You could probably find it if you
That's
scroll
awesome.
way through the Ginger Nuts of Horror. Whenever we post, Jim would have posted a review.
Yeah. Well,
oh my gosh, I did not know this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guy that directed
Yeah.
Clownado, but this would be a good point to address it. Like, no one cares about your hard work. Anyone's hard work. No one cares.
Ever.
If it's not entertaining, no one cares. Like, the shittiest movie ever, yeah, it's still going to take a bunch of hard work. No one cares, unfortunately.
Man, I feel I kind of want to go back and read that review because I'm sure I didn't really say anything that nice, but I felt like I felt like I maybe said something nice. I don't know. I don't remember.
If I remember, you were the nicest.
I was going to say
which is weird because normally I was for a long time the nice one, and that was the one where I was like, nope.
Yeah,
clowns are lazy. I'm just...
I don't want to read.
I'm gonna have to go dig that up.
Yeah, and so for those of you just learning about Bloodhound Pix, we also used to do written reviews that we would still post on the podcast as well, but we were in connection with Ginger Nuts of Horror, and so a lot of our written reviews you can still read on there, I think.
Yeah, they are. They are. He still got them up.
Yeah. And check out that site too, because Jim's pretty cool. He's the best one that we've worked with.
He's the greatest.
Yeah.
He's really good. Yeah.
Most supportive. Yeah.
Where the other ones we worked with, not so much.
Yeah.
Which is why we're doing this our own way now. Bloodhound Pix Uncut reboot.
We're gonna fight for our right to party.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, do we have anything else on this House Red?
No, I think we're done with House Red. So the episodes from here on out will kind of be all over, where we might talk about a movie, we might talk about the progress of some of our work. We might, talk about all sorts of things, and as long as it's in that vein. But I'm hoping to hear more from Kyle about his next steps, because I know you're getting to the point where you're about to start filming soon.
I've already shot stuff.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Because there's certain things I know I'm not going to change. I mean, it's not like a lot of stuff, but yeah. I mean, it's really just, we could talk about it some episode, but it's trying to, for me right now, it's more of trying to structure it so he has a trackable goal.
Okay.
Because that's like what's missing, because it's like a character piece, it's a moody horror thing, it's very small. And all that's great, and you can kind of, you'd still be leaning on that even if I create some kind of trackable goal, but it's like I need to structure it more so there's information unfolding, you know? So it's not just moody bullshit that is boring.
Yeah. And then I know, I think we've already kind of explained that, because Josh, you primarily focus on just wanting to be a screenwriter. Kyle has always been both, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I'm bisexual.
Yeah. But we are also slowly working on, which we'll talk about, I guess, further as it develops, but working on another piece together, where it might be an anthology, it might be a series of different things, but yeah. So in the future, we will be using Bloodhound as its original intention to also create a project.
Fuck yeah.
Right now.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so that's it for now. We kind of talked about House Red as best as we could, and then gave the update for the first episode back of Bloodhound Pix. And thank you for listening. As always, I'm Craig.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Josh.
Bloodhound Pix podcast is produced by Josh Lee, Craig Dram, and Kyle Hintz. Music by Raymond Seed. Audio editing by Kyle Hintz.